در خروش است با قلبتان یک صدا همواره در قلب مایید ای رنجتان رنج ما لبها سراین رهایی در کوی ها کوچه ها ای رهروان دربند با دستوار از نشان در پشت میله های زندان زنجیر شکن گامتان
I'm the MC in today's rally here, and I would like to salute you on behalf of campaign to defend people's struggle in Iran. I thank you for being here today. I know it's cold, it's windy, it's a little bit rainy kind of, but it's good to get together here because we all know that if we don't unite, nothing will happen. The song we started our rally with is called Manifesto, and it's performed by Victor Jara, the revolutionary, the communist political activist from Chile, who was tortured and murdered by Pinochet dictators. That's why it's good to remember him, and I'm honored to say his name here. Victor Jara is in our mind, and whatever he stood for, we stand for too. We gathered here to amplify the voices of Iranians who are fighting a brutal regime, a brutal Islamic regime for over 40 years. Iran is experiencing its deadliest political unrest, with at least 450 killed, over 4,000 injured, and over 8,000 arrested and put in jail. Shame on Islamic Republic of Iran! The unrest began, the latest unrest actually began with the hike of the gasoline price. Within hours, outraged demonstrators in large and small cities were calling for an end on Islamic Republic of Iran, an end to its ruling class, and fall down of its leaders. People chanted clearly, "Down with Islamic Republic of Iran! Down with Islamic Republic of Iran!" In many places, security forces responded with opening fire to the peaceful and unarmed protesters. Most of them were unemployed and from working class families, basically. Peaceful demonstrations were met with extremes and systematic violence from the police and security services across the country. Many people are missing, and there has been no official information and no official confirmation, basically, of the names of those killed or arrested. Even several children are reported killed during Iran's last November unrest. So we are here to oppose this brutality and push Iran's regime to stop killing and release the political prisoners immediately and unconditionally. Stop killing of the people of Iran. Free all political prisoners in Iran.
Free all political prisoners in Iran.
Today is marked an anniversary day of a Students' Day, which goes back to years ago at the time that Nixon was visiting Iran and students came to the street and chanted against US and opposed his visit of Iran. And 3 students were killed by them. That's why every year students come out at this day and commemorate those who were killed in the university. Yesterday, students in Iran took this stand against neoliberalism in Iran. They clearly chanted and had a big banner showing that from France to Iraq to Lebanon to Chile, we are fighting the same enemy. Neoliberalism is one of our targets. They also chanted against compulsory hijab. They are chanted against unemployment and the slavery work, unwaged people who are doing slavery work in Iran. So students actually made a connection between the students and labor activists, between labor demands and the student demands, because they are themselves working children. That's why they say we won't leave our worker activists because we are their children. Without any further ado, I would like to ask our first speaker to come up. We have a young woman activist with us, Laura. She is an activist with Migrante BC, and please join us, and we would love to hear what you share with us. Thank you. Please give up for Laura.
Warm militant greetings from Migrante BC and Sulong UBC on this cold and wet day. As a youth and student group, Sulong also understands the significance of coming together here on Student Day that commemorates those lives taken of brave student activists in Iran. We've come here today to stand in solidarity with the people of Iran, those workers, women, and youth like me and like all of us who are tired and fed up of living under a regime that has impoverished them through its neoliberal policies and widespread corruption, and who are out in the streets, rising up and fighting for their rights. We know that when people have the courage and bravery to act, when they dare to rise up against those in power, they are met with force and with brutal acts of violence. The latest numbers have at least 8,000 people reported arrested in 28 of Iran's 31 provinces, and at least 450 people killed, including at least 12 children. We know these numbers could very well be much higher. We condemn the state violence and repression that has resulted in such gross violations of human rights. We stand with you today to say shame on the government of Iran.
Shame!
The movement in Iran is led by people across all sectors, and it is the people of Iran who will struggle and triumph. They do not need or want the intervention of Canada and other imperialist states. Solidarity with the people's struggle in Iran.
Solidarity.
No war, no sanctions, no imperialist intervention in Iran. We also join in your calls to release those arrested in these latest uprisings and to release all other political prisoners in Iran. Free all political prisoners in Iran.
Free all political prisoners in Iran.
Long live international solidarity. Long live international solidarity. Thank you.
Down with Islamic Republic of Iran! Down with Islamic Republic of Iran! Free all political prisoners in Iran!
Iran is operating a shoot-to-kill policy to crack down on protesters. The observers and the doctors in country have witnessed this brutal policy. We ask you and progressive world to put pressure on the Iranian regime to halt the violence against peaceful demonstrations. Stop killing protesters. Stop killing protesters. Stop killing protesters. Before I call for our next speaker, I would like to announce that there were many statements from different labor unions, different independent unions in Iran, who called on the Islamic Republic of Iran to stop the violence against the protesters in Iran.
Long live international solidarity.
Long live international solidarity. Among them are 5 unions and also the syndicate, bus driver syndicate union, who directly actually asked for condemn the massacre and bloody suppression of protesters. And this labor union has also called for the trial of all involved in ordering and executing the widespread killing, wounding, and the arrest of thousands of the protesters. All who were involved on killing people during last 40 years, they should be on trial. They should face the consequences of what they did to the people, to innocent people, to unarmed people, to the peaceful demonstrators. That's the biggest demand that we want. We want to see them on trial to take responsibility for what they did.
Justice now!
Our next speaker is Shohreh. She is a former political prisoner herself from Iran. She spent 6.5 years in prison as basically a torture survivor and a true witness of what the political prisoners go through in Iran. Please give a warm welcome to Shohreh.
Hello everyone. We are here today to support and be voice of our people in Iran, to support of what has been happening in our country. Over 5 days, they killed almost 700 people who protesting, and thousands have been arrested and continue to be tortured. Islamic regime of Iran has placed the death penalty on any person who participated in demonstration. Shame on them! Shame on them! Why should any human being treated like this for the standing up for their basic rights? Iranian people is experiencing its deadliest uprising in 40 years, which their country has been hostage by the Islamic regime. Shame on them! Shame! Many people are killed while the internet were blocked. They were young, educated, workers, jobless, and most of them were shot in head and chest. Right now, more than 7,000 are arrested. They are in prison. They have been under torture, interrogation, and most of them are wounded. Not even medically treated, they are under interrogation and torture. As political prisoners who spent almost 7 years in Islamic regime prison and under the torture, with so many people around me here, there is so many political prisoners here, and we experience how brutal is their torture. We know the meaning of the lashes, and we know the meaning of the interrogation. We know what's happening right now to the family of those detained people and how they've been suffered and treated by the guards in front of the prison. We are here today to be the voice of thousands of the prisoners, especially those young demonstrators who were arrested in recent uprising. Thousands of families are gathered in front of the Evin prison in Tehran and other prisons across the country, just to know their loved one is alive or not. Shame on you. Shame. We are here to warn the brutal regime that we don't let you to do the same massacre that you did during the 80s in Iran. We don't let you. We warn the regime, the world are watching them. Even in the closed door, they must release all of the political prisoners. We ask Canadian media why they haven't covered the uprising of our people. Shame on CBC, shame on CTV and other media in Canada. Shame! Shame on government of Canada who opens the doors to all the thieves and criminals of Islamic regime in Canada and doesn't care of massacre in recent uprising of Iran. Shame on you. Shame on Trudeau. Shame! Shame! Shame on all Western media are keeping silence and blocking the news. We are here to call for immediate release of all political prisoners. Long live revolution of Iranian people. Down with Islamic Republic of Iran. Free all political prisoners in Iran.
Free all political prisoners. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Islamic regime has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Islamic regime has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Islamic regime has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Islamic regime has got to go.
Free all political prisoners in Iran.
Free all political prisoners in Iran.
Down with Islamic Republic of Iran.
Down with Islamic Republic of Iran.
No to capitalism, yes to freedom. No to capitalism, yes to freedom. No to capitalism, yes to freedom.
The song that you are going to hear is an Arabic song actually. And it's called Bread, Freedom, Social Justice, performed by Rami Assam, Egyptian progressive singer. It's about how in Egyptian civilization the bread symbolizes life. Basically, the song is about another uprising coming on. We Iranians sympathize with this song because in Iran also, when people took to the street, chanted bread, job, freedom, but brutally suppressed. Bread, job, freedom. Bread, job, freedom. Social justice. Let's sing with him. عيش حرية عدالة اجتماعية. عيش حرية عدالة اجتماعية. It's really shameful that that Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, openly and clearly issued instructions that the protest movement be crushed at whatever cost. Iranian officials also issued a warning that anyone sending information, documents, and photos regarding the protests and arrested people, they will be arrested as well on the ground of national security and charged with treason. The governor of Quds Township, Leila Wasepi, openly admitted that the Islamic Revolution Guard Corporation forces the Islamic Revolution Guard forces had been active in suppressing the protests from day one of anti-regime demonstrations in November.
It's criminal!
She shamefully admits responsibility for ordering security forces to open fire on any protests going on in Governor Building. The next speaker, I would like to ask Mehnush Ahmadi, an Iranian LGBTQ activist, to join us here and to share her thought with us.
Thank you for inviting me to this event to talk on behalf of LGBT community in Iran. I came here today to show my solidarity with Iranian people who took to the streets against years of systematic political repression, corruption, and economic mismanagement by their government. Over the course of 4 days, more than 200 people lost their lives. Thousands are facing imprisonment and torture in detention facilities.
Shame.
Shame. But my other intention, as you can see from my rainbow flag, is to give visibility to the Iranian LGBT community that has been and continues to be an important agent of change in progressive movements inside Iran.
Zindabad.
Thank you. From feminist movement to labor movement to movements of various nations for self-determination and students' movements. LGBT community is among the detainees and like many others are subjected to torture.
Shame.
Shame. And if the security forces find out about their sexuality, they are in even bigger trouble than everyone else. During every uprising, while sexual and gender minority could shout out their frustration about economic inequality and lack of freedom of expression, they could not become visible and shout their demands as LGBT members inside Iran. This is because they're fighting in two fronts. For them, struggle starts from inside their homes, in schools, to the streets and public spaces. While the rise of gas affects their life economically like everyone else, they also have to endure systematic homophobia, transphobia, violence, and rejection from the family and the society.
Shame.
Despite all these pressures, they refuse to be silenced and to condemn, to conform to the heteronormative rules promoted by Islamic capitalist ideology. I would like to use this platform to ask all progressive activists who care about basic human rights in Iran to keep up your proactive approach in amplifying the voices of marginalized groups, especially LGBT community in Iran. This could be as simple as including their demands and rights on your placards in rallies, or like today, inviting their activists to your events and providing spaces where people with intersectional identities and experiences can raise their voices. I believe that different movements can work together and strengthen each other and form a united front front in order to defeat this inhumane, illegitimate, tyrannic regime. Let's not forget, nothing makes Islamic Republic of Iran more terrified than seeing people from all walks of life unite. And with the quote I saw in today's rallies inside Iran by the students, I will finish my talk. The people united will never be defeated.
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 The people united will never be defeated. Islamic Republic, anti-women republic.
Islamic Republic, anti-women republic.
Islamic Republic, anti-workers republic.
Islamic Republic,
Anti-workers republic.
Islamic Republic, anti-queer republic.
Islamic Republic, anti-queersman republic.
Islamic Republic, anti-children republic.
Islamic Republic,
Anti-children
anti-children
republic.
republic. Next speaker is one of our comrades from Iraq, Ustad Jalal. I would like to ask him to come here and speak for us and share what he's thinking of solidarity here today.
من استاد جلال هستم، یکی از فعالین چپ در عراق کردستان. اومدم اینجا هم پشتیبانی از مردم ایران و مردم عراق علیه حکومت جمهوری اسلامی ایران و حکومت عراق. من تظاهرات که مردم کردن علیه جمهوری اسلامی تمام شورای دیگه هم بخصوص کشورهای دیگه هم از مثل سوریه، لیبیا، این سیستمی سرمایه‌داری که ریشه جمهوری اسلامی و حکومت‌های اسلامی قومی هستند. به نظر من رفتن اسلام به خاطر از ایران شروع شده، اسلام از ایران شکل گرفت و حکومت تشکیل دادن، باید از اونجا هم سرنگون بشه. من اومدیم امروز پشتیبانی خودمان از تمام مردم انقلابی، جوانان، زنان، تمام مردم ایران و عراق و کشورهای دیگه که علیه سیستم مبارزه میکنن پشتیبانی میکنم. مرگ بر جمهوری اسلامی، زنده باد نانکار آزادی. تشکر.
What do we want?
Freedom.
Where do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Freedom.
When we want it?
Now.
Our next speaker is Ayanis Ferdor-Charmand. He's one of us, our comrade from ILPS, International League for People's Struggle. He is here, joined us. He's always supportive of us. I appreciate him being here, and please come and share your thoughts with us.
Give him more welcome.
Thanks, Parvin, and thanks, comrades, for the opportunity to share this solidarity message. Militant greetings on behalf of the International League of People's Struggles. I bring greetings of solidarity to your rally, and also solidarity to the thousands of comrades currently being held in jails in Iran for their part in protest against intensifying exploitation and neoliberalism and the grinding system that exists in Iran. In capitalist countries, imprisonment is an expression of bourgeois dictatorship and a mechanism to discipline the oppressed and exploited classes. This is true here in Vancouver, where I've actually been involved with other comrades in the downtown east side, trying to deal with the over-policing of our poor communities in the downtown east side. It's true in Chile, where the massive state forces are cracking down on protesters who are again struggling against neoliberalism and for their basic economic rights. So, as proletarian internationalists, we have to recognize that these arrests and incarcerations that have happened in Iran are targeting working class people, and we should remember the old working class adage, an injury to one is an injury to all. and show our militant and steadfast solidarity with comrades who are brave enough to go out in the streets and take a stand against the system that's exploiting and oppressing people. So we call for freedom for the prisoners and stand with the working class of Iran in their historic mission to bring socialism and real liberation to their country. At the same time, we recognize that the Canadian state and its imperialist allies are no friends of the Iranian working class and have no interest in their real liberation. Their machinations are only intended to bring about a regime change that will replace the current bourgeois order with an alternative one that's aligned with the US and Israeli plans for the region. So we also say no to sanctions and no to war. The two are in no sense in contradiction. The Iranian people are going to continue to rise up and struggle to transform their country and to win socialism. And we will 100% be in solidarity with them every step of the road, recognizing that it's not us but them who will win real freedom for Iran. So no sanctions, no war. Free the prisoners! Free all political prisoners now!
Free all political prisoners now!
Long live the struggle for socialism in Iran!
Long live the struggle for socialism in Iran!
Long live international solidarity!
Long live international solidarity!
Thank you so much, Irans. Our next speaker is Erdogan, who was here beside me chanting a lot. Now he's going to share his thoughts with us. He's also a political prisoner of Iran. He spent how many years? 5 years in Islamic prison. Just listen what he's going to share with us.
Thank you for coming today. As the other days, we are here several years to demand what the people needed to be, like you, ordinary people all around the world. The reason we gather together here, like the other corner of different cities and the countries, because the uprising people and the movement for revolution, what they're claiming, we don't want Iranian dictatorship anymore after 4 decades. As a former political prisoners who spent several years in different jails and have been severely tortured like the other comrades and freedom fighters, we understand what's going on in Islamic regime prisons. We know and you know how valuable freedom and justice is. That is why people raising their voice all the rest of the country in Iran. Justice, criminal, brutal regime, Islamic Republic of Iran, arrested and wounded more than thousands of people and freedom fighters because of their voice raised against of terrible price of the gasoline. And immediately it became rapidly covered in the rest of country with a peaceful, legitimate protesting in whole country. But what was the answer of the regime? Easy. Bullets. Fire to shoot and kill the people. As they are doing during 40 years. Like the other criminal regime in Chile, in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Philippines, in Bolivia, in Ecuador, now in France, and so on. Shame! During last week of November, just 1 week, brutal murderer regime killed more than 500 just in 1 week. arrest more than 8,000 to 9,000 people and put in the jail. There is not space for it. And wounded more than thousands, and instead to be hospitalized, to be taken care, like that situation, they are torturing day by day. They are trying to give the death penalty and preparing for execution. Shame! Our people decided to throw over the brutal government Islamic regime of Iran. And all around the world knows for it, but they're keeping silence, as they did around 40 years. But we will hear sometimes, even in European Union, one of those said, even in Farsi, Persian, probably you hear that. Islamic regime we don't want. رژیم اسلامی نمیخوایم و حتما شنیدید. We support. Let me short my speech because there is no time. Enough is enough. We support those families who lost their loved one and stay in solidarity with them. Justice and long live solidarity. Free all political prisoners in Iran. Free all political prisoners in Iran.
Free all political prisoners in Iran.
The international progressive community's cautious and muted response to the killing of protesters is totally inadequate. They must condemn these killings in the strongest possible terms and describe these events for what they are. In fact, they are deadly and wholly unwarranted use of force to crush dissent. The regime has done everything in its power to silence these people, the protesters and their families. The authorities have now stepped in their search in identifying protesters to expand their arrests and started a new wave of house arrests among students, workers, women activists and others. The families of jailed protesters have not been even given answers as to the conditions of their loved ones. Families have actually to pay for the government in order to retrieve the body. Can you believe this? They charge people for the body of their beloved one. Shame!
Shame! Shame!
This is absolutely horrific. This is actually insane. Meanwhile, with manipulative tactics and threats, authorities have pressured the families of these prisoners to remain silent, such as that they may be able to carry out mass execution. This is what we are worrying. The lives of thousands are at stake these days. We united and collectively call for the release of all political prisoners in Iran. Let us not be silent. Free all political prisoners in Iran. Long live solidarity. Long live Engelab. Zindabad Engelab. Engelab Zindabad. Zindabad Engelab.
Zindabad Engelab.
Long live revolution.
Long live revolution.
Actually, that was my closing remarks, and I really appreciate you guys being here today and joining us, showing a big solidarity. And I know just by that we can build the strongest solidarity movement around the world. Whenever there is an injustice, we should be there. No matter where, no matter what part of the countries, no matter what group of the people, queers, workers, women, children, whoever is under attack, we should be there. When workers' rights are under attack, what do? Stand up and fight back. When women's rights are under attack, what do? Stand up and fight back. Thank you so much and have a nice evening.